Hey there, it's March the 29th today. It's a Tuesday. We're reading in the Old Testament Deuteronomy 32 through 34, also Psalm 13 and Luke 13. 13's mixed in there, and we're wrapping up the book of Deuteronomy. Now, as we've been reading through Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, we've kind of been seeing the story of the beginning of God's people play out from the Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, through their children, through the followers, you get to Noah, and you go through all that. Then you get to Abraham, there's Isaac, there's Jacob. You get to the time when the people of God were slaves in Egypt, and you have Moses leads them out. These are the forefathers, the patriarchs, the leaders that we look up to. In fact, at the end of the book of Deuteronomy, it says no one has ever displayed the powers that Moses was able to with the power of God in him since then. We look at these people as the ones who led the way for the kingdom of God, for the people of God in the Old Testament. But when we get to the book of Deuteronomy, as we finish it up, we see the end of Moses' life, and we see the passing of a baton to the next generation. It says that Moses, because he had not faithfully led the people into the promised land, but instead he listened to the fears of the spies that had gone in and led them away, there were consequences that Moses had to deal with. One of them was that he would not enter this promised land that he looked forward to for so long. He wouldn't enter it. But right before he died, God had Moses go up one more time onto a mountaintop. And he got to look out, and he got to see the promised land from a distance. In fact, God tells him, you will see it, the land from a distance, but you will not enter the land I'm giving to the people of Israel. So he got to see what was about to happen for the people, but he didn't get to experience it himself. And then Moses, before he dies, he goes into this long tribute. And Deuteronomy chapter 33, the heading in this Bible here, it's one of these blue Bibles here I'm looking at that we use around the church all the time. It says, as the heading, Moses blesses the tribes. And Moses begins to go through the tribes of the people of God, giving blessings. Reuben and Judah and Gad and Benjamin and all these different tribes he goes through, and he blesses them, he blesses them, he blesses them, he blesses them. What can we possibly learn from this? I think there's a couple things we can learn. Number one, we have Moses, who at the end of his life, as he is preparing to pass away, preparing to hand things over and to know that his time has come to an end, and Moses was very aware of that. Moses got to look ahead into the future, and Moses got to see what was coming next. I believe that you and I have the ability, God has given us the blessing that we can look into the future and we can see what is next. Now I'm going to tell you the truth. What is next is not going to look like what just happened. The future is going to be different, and that can be really hard. We get really attached to what we've experienced, what we know. There's a little nostalgia mixed up in there, but we can look ahead and we can see what is next. And we can look at that with joy and with excitement for the future, knowing that the kingdom of God will prosper and it will grow and it will be strengthened and it will never go away. Nothing will outlast the kingdom of God. And we can be excited for the next step of the kingdom. Or we can be frustrated that it's going to look different than what the past step looked like. I don't know about you, but I am hopeful that I will live my entire life out looking to the future, being excited for the next generation, the next step to happen. The second thing we see in Moses here is that as he nears the end of his years, he took time to make sure that his words and his life were a blessing to the next generation. To be blunt for a second, I hope this doesn't offend you, but far too often we see in churches the people grow up, they have families, they get older, they have grandkids, they get older, and they become the cranky old men and old women of the church. I don't know if you've experienced that before. I don't know if maybe you're living that out right now. I don't know. But every single one of us have a choice. We can become that cranky old man, that cranky old woman that's upset about everything, and the kids are running in the hallways and things are upset and things are horrible and nothing looks the same, and we can be that. Or you can choose to be that older gentleman, that older lady that looks at the next generation, at the kids running around, the teenagers that are running around We don't call them the lazy generations, and we don't mock them, and we don't make fun of them, and we don't demean them, but instead we let our words and our actions, our lives be a blessing to them, and we can speak life into them and say, you have the keys to the kingdom of heaven, so go run with it. And we can direct them to the future that we've seen so they can experience every blessing that we have come to know in the kingdom of God. And they can live with the same joy that we've come to know in the family of God. I don't know what season of life you're in right now, but I implore you, I challenge you to refuse to become angry and grumpy and cranky because things are changing, but instead be joyful and excited because the kingdom continues to go on. Be excited and joyful because the kingdom continues to grow. And people are coming to life. God is rescuing. People are obeying. And the family of God is thriving. You commit yourself to being joyful about that and pass that blessing along to the next generation. Until I see you again, you are sent.